trying to find a place that I can maybe sit down here and not get rained on too hard. That could be easier said than done. Yeah, the rain's let up a little bit now. Here's a good spot. Yeah, maybe not. Let's find another spot here. So, I think I can probably sit down here and keep the camera relatively dry, I guess. Anyways, just so you guys know, just up here over this hill, the main river's down below me. Main river's down this direction, down here. There's a pretty good creek that runs up this draw, and just over this hill here, just over that hill is where I had that feather left for me. Remember that feather by my pack? That was just up over the hill here. And I like coming into this area because it's pretty remote. It's fairly steep coming up off the river for probably I don't know, maybe half a mile. It's a pretty steep climb, so not a lot of people come up here, but anyways, let's see if we can get the camera set up. There's nobody watching us, is there? I always like to have a good look around. Because you never know. You never know what you're gonna see out here, right? Okay, let's get the camera set up for read a couple emails. Well, this looks as good a place as any, I would say. Looks like the rain let up a little bit finally. Man, it was just hammering out earlier. And there's still a bit of wind, but nothing like there was last night. So thanks to everybody for all the comments and support for the last year. It's been I believe it's been right around 1 year now that I've had the channel going and sharing my adventures with you guys, and I really appreciate the support. It's awesome. We got a hell of a community here. You know, I've had some comments come in from people that are going through some rough times, you know, struggling with you know, maybe the loss of a loved one, or just struggling in general, and the support here at Outlaw Country from all of you guys is incredible. It's awesome. Just love it. And I remember just recently there was a comment of a gentleman that lost his dad and brother and like suffered some serious loss, and I commented to him because it was actually, I believe it was just the other day, and it was ironically on the same day that I lost my dad 7 years ago. And so I commented back to this gentleman and said, "Hey man, I know how you feel. You know, my dad was my buddy. He was my hunting partner and my fishing partner and my friend. And so I said, I know how you feel. I know what it's like, but you know what? You go through that mourning period that you're absolutely devastated, and then you have to celebrate their life, not mourn their death." Somebody told me that once. A good friend of mine told me that, and I think it's really important. And it's a good saying, you know, you celebrate the person's life instead of mourning their death. Don't look at the fact that they're gone. Look at all the good times that you had and all the years that you were together and celebrate that. So, but anyways, a lot of good support from everybody to these people that are going through tough times, because you know, sometimes people have a real small circle of friends and they're not able to discuss it with people. So it's nice to see that Outlaw Country is a strong, supportive community. Anyways, that being said, time to throw the glasses on. Time to throw the glasses on and get a few emails read. And to start with, the very first email I'm going to start with is our friend Evelyn Hunt. Miss Evelyn, her and I spoke a couple of times now, and she's shared a ton of information with me, and she still doesn't want to. She doesn't want to go on camera. I haven't asked her again. I asked her after we spoke the last time. I asked her if she would share some more of her encounters, because she has had encounters with these people since she was like 11 years old, and they still continue. She hasn't had any encounters in the last couple of years, but she's had encounters throughout her whole life, and she thinks some of them are very insignificant, but they're not. And she shared with me some of them when we were talking, and I said, hey, would you mind writing in another email for the people to hear? So she did. So I'm going to start with, I know I normally go in order, but I'm going to start with Evelyn's email here, because Evelyn's last email she sent in was just a few videos ago, so people will remember her, and then we'll get on to some other ones. So anyways, Evelyn and I we're gonna talk again, because we spoke for probably an hour and a bit, and it's just unbelievable the information she has. So here's Evelyn's follow-up email for us. Hi Darren, thanks for the lovely phone call the other day. It was very nice talking to you, and I look forward to another conversation soon. You asked me if I would send an email about the other encounter that I had with the 4 Bigfoot people at our home. So here you go. I was 28 years old and recently married, and we were having a celebration at our house one night in early September. We had family and friends over for a potluck dinner, and my husband and several of his friends were sitting by the outside fire carving some masks in the backyard. It was still daylight, but the sun had set and it was starting to get darker. I was walking from the back door of my house going to sit by the fire when I noticed some movement in the trees at the back of our yard. The fire pit is kind of in the middle of the yard, and the trees are maybe 50 or 60 feet from there. Behind the house is all forest for hundreds of miles. Anyways, as I seen the movement, I stopped walking and stared back into the trees. After looking there for a minute or so, I saw 2 faces and shoulders peeking out behind a couple of trees. One looked like it was standing, as the head was about 8 feet off the ground, and the other looked to be crouched down. The head was maybe 5 feet off the ground. I started walking towards them, talking to them, saying, "You are welcome here. Please join us." That's when I noticed one more of them even closer than the other 2. This one was standing right in front of a tree in plain view, but it blended well with the tree. And it was looking at my cousin, who was sitting around the fire playing his drum while the other men were carving their masks. I stopped and watched them for a few minutes, and then I turned back to the fire and went and sat down. I kept looking over every so often to see if they were still there, and every time I looked, I could see them. As I was looking at the 2 that were hiding behind the tree, with only their shoulder and head showing, a third one stepped out from behind the one that was crouched down. This little one came into full view, and it was maybe 4 feet tall and not very bulky. I'm positive this was a younger one because it didn't have near as much hair as the others did, and it was much lighter color. It was only completely in the open for a few seconds when the big one put an arm out around its shoulder and pulled it back in behind the tree. My brother-in-law was sitting right next to me and saw them as well. We both watched them and were talking about it when I heard a voice say to me, "Thank you." When I heard that, I looked back to the trees and all 4 of them were gone. I asked George if he heard the voice, and he said, "What voice?" And I said, "Did you not hear the thank you?" He said, "No, I didn't hear anything." But I did, and it was very clear. I don't know how these beings can appear and disappear without making a noise. I think they are masters of disguise and have an incredible ability to go undetected. George and I talked for a while about these people, but he fears them very much. I have a much different feeling about them than he does. I do not fear them. I do not feel threatened by them. A little while later, I told my husband what happened, and he said jokingly, maybe they like our music. Maybe they like the masks we're making. I don't know. Maybe he's right. I don't know why these people were at our house that night, but it appears they meant us no harm. I've heard many stories over the years about these beings, and I know some are very bad, but I have to honestly believe that some are very good too. I have never been frightened after my first experience when I was young picking berries. I know they're around me, but don't feel scared or threatened in any way. Anyhow, that's what happened that night. It's funny how I can remember every single thing from the times I've seen these beings, but I can't remember where I put the car keys. These people have abilities and powers that we can't even begin to understand. I've heard you say in some of your videos, I think we can coexist. I completely agree with you. I have coexisted with the Bigfoot since I was a young girl, and they've never done me any harm. Thanks again for your phone call. I look forward to our next talk. Take care, Darren. Sincerely, Evelyn Hunt. It's Evelyn told me all about that when I spoke with her, and it's crazy the detail that she remembers. She remembers everything. She went on for, like, say, about an hour about different experiences and different encounters that she's had, and I'm personally just fascinated. I was like, after an hour, I was like, Evelyn, I gotta go, but I could sit and listen to you for hours, and I could. Thanks very much, Evelyn. And I already told you, any more that you want to share with us, please do. Even if it's just your opinion. Right now, that's all we have is people's opinions. So if you have an opinion on things, Evelyn, please share them. We'd love to hear from you. All right, another one here. And it, big bold letters, says no name. No name. All right, here we are. Hi, Darren. I've been following your channel for quite some time now, and I've always enjoyed your content, and most of all, your delivery. I feel like you share exactly what is given to you, And I also love how you never judge anyone on what they email you. I've decided to share my story with you, and this is only the second time that I've discussed what happened to me 8 years ago. I'm going to ask you not to share my name for now, as I just don't want any attention drawn to me or my family. No problem. I'm an ichthyologist, fish biologist, ichthyologist, fish biologist in brackets, and have been for 14 years. I study fish in freshwater habitat and have taken part in many studies throughout my career. I was conducting a research program 8 years ago, and we were monitoring salmon returns in a network of about half a dozen rivers and stream systems. Our team consisted of myself, another biologist, and 2 university students, and we were a couple weeks into the study when my nightmare took place. Myself and one of the young students were walking the riverbank to a pool where our swimmers had marked a spawning bed, and we were going to collect some salmon carcasses for review and study in the lab. We came around the bend in the river, and the young lady that was with me said, "Bears," as she pointed towards the river. We always carry bear spray, and I do carry a shotgun when I'm working in the field during spawning season. But generally, the bears will leave us alone as they're concentrating on eating fish. When I looked up at the bears, I quickly realized these were not bears. I honestly didn't know what it was I was looking at. I was in shock at first, but I knew they weren't bears. I stopped immediately and put my arm up in front of my student and said, "Don't move." We stood there for a minute or two and watched these 2 creatures as they were squatted down in the gravel at the edge of the river, eating rotten fish off the bank of the river. The one creature was quite big, and the other was just over half its size, but I couldn't make out much of their body as they were squatted down with their backs to us. I don't know what prompted me to do this, but I hollered, "Hey!" And both of them turned immediately, looked at us, and stood up. The larger creature pushed the smaller one on the back towards the timber, and they ran off for the trees and vanished into the thick bush. I did have the shotgun ready now, but I truly felt useless and vulnerable. My co-worker, student, was hysterical by now and crying, asking me, "What were those?" I knew what we had seen was what the locals call the hairy man, but I honestly could not believe my eyes. All of my post-secondary education has been science-based, so for obvious reasons, my mind was telling me they can't be the hairy man. They can't be hairy men because almost all scientists and biologists that I know have said the hairy man or Bigfoot does not exist. I've heard stories of these beings in the past, but I have to admit that I also didn't believe them to be true. I was rattled by what we had seen, and my young student was obviously hysterical and traumatized. I tried to comfort her on our walk back to the truck, but she was not in a good state of mind. It wasn't until we got back to the truck that I really wrapped my head around what had taken place. Unfortunately, I can't tell you too much about these creatures we saw because they were gone in a split second. From the pictures and video I've seen online over the years, I would have to say that what we ran into was possible an adult and a younger one just based on their size. just based on their size difference. I've done some research on these people since that day, and I know that there's a lot of critics, but I think there may be as many or more people around the world now that have seen these creatures, people, that we can say they are not a myth. I have spoken to many of my colleagues since that day, trying to encourage them to the possibility that these beings are real. I, for one, know for a fact they exist. I have never seen a sign of them since then or prior to, and I hope never to again. This experience really did affect me, and I feel nervous every time I enter the woods. I still work in the field quite a bit. As it's a large part of my job, but I feel very uneasy. When you're talking to people that truly believe you, it makes it much easier. Thank you for what you're doing. Take care. Well, thank you very much. I did see your name at the bottom, but obviously you do not want to share your name, and I'm totally fine with that. There's been a few people email in with seeing these creatures on the rivers or near the rivers or whatever. And I mean, they're just like any other animal, right? The salmon are on the rivers, so are the bears, and obviously so are these people. You know, the riverbanks are in the fall are just loaded with bears and eagles and all sorts of critters that are feeding off of the salmon. That's the circle of life, right? That's nature. So, but I'm going to email this person because I'd like to know about the young student. How did she recover from that? Because that would be traumatic. I mean, obviously you as a biologist, you know about bears and all that kind of stuff. Obviously you were pretty traumatized too. You know, not believing in these things. That's one thing, right? To not believe in these people, these beings for all these years, you know, to just go, no, it's just a story, it's a legend, it's a myth, they're not real. And then all of a sudden to realize that, yes, they are. That's the shocker. You know, that's when people go, holy shit, they really do exist. And I'm glad more and more people are, you know, coming to that realization. I wish they didn't have to come to it this way, you know, because it is fearful. I've been out in the bush and had things happen, and I'm out in the bush all the time, and I've had things happen that I go, holy shit, right? You're terrified. So anyways, thank you very much. You know who you are. I know who you are. And thank you very much for the email. And I will reach out to you as well. Okay, we're going to do one more. Why not? I'm going to mark that one. I'm going to mark that one as red. Mark that one as red. And I got to mark Miss Evelyn's as red. And we will get on to one more here. That's all we got time for is one more today. All right, here we go. Darren, my name's Dwayne Lundy, and I live in Washington State. I work for a highways maintenance contractor driving gravel truck and snowplow in the winter. I've worked the highways now for 20 years, and I've plowed and maintained some of the main stretches of mountain highways, such as Stevens Pass and Snoqualmie Pass. I've always been a believer in Sasquatch, but I'd never seen any sign of one until last winter. It was early December, and I was plowing a section of Snoqualmie at around 10 p.m. I pulled my truck over and was taking a little break and pouring myself a coffee when I saw something come over the snowbank and onto the highway. It looked like a person, but I knew damn well it wasn't a person. It was too large and moving too quickly. The snowbank this thing came over was about 4 feet high on the shoulder of the road, and this thing came over it like nothing. And I watched it cross the entire highway basically in the blink of an eye. I was shocked at what I was seeing and never even thought to grab my cell phone and try to get a picture or a video. Not that I would have been able to due to the darkness. I could see this thing pretty clearly in my plow lights. It stood out like a sore thumb against the snow as well. This being was your typical Sasquatch description. Very tall, big-bodied, completely covered with hair. I literally got maybe 4 to 5 seconds look at it, and it was up the snowbank on the other side of the highway and gone. I told my wife about it because I knew she wouldn't make fun of me or doubt me. And I also told my good buddy Reed, who's also seen these beings up on Stevens Pass. There's been lots of reported sightings in these areas, but the authorities refuse to acknowledge it. Why? What the hell is their reasoning for keeping something like this from the general public? Question mark, question mark. It's very evident that these Sasquatch people exist. Why not come out and admit it? Question mark, question mark. I don't talk about this topic with anyone other than my wife and Reed when I see him, so it's nice to have a place to sit and listen to other people explain their encounters and try to make sense of all of this shit. I hope one day all the naysayers get the proof they so desperately need to be able to believe all the good, honest people around the globe that are sharing their experiences with us. Keep up the good work, man. Dwayne. Well, thank you very much, Dwayne. Thanks, Dwayne. I'm gonna mark that one as red. Thanks, dude. I appreciate that. Appreciate you sending that to us. And $1 million question. $1 million question. Why is it being denied? Why is it being denied? Why? If I'm gonna say if hundreds of thousands of people around the world know these things exist, why in the hell is the powers to be not acknowledging it? I've heard accounts from ex-powers to be people that are maybe retired or whatever that acknowledge it. But when you're in a position of power, they're not acknowledging it. And that's the $1 million question, dude. I don't know why. I don't know why. Obviously I'm gonna reach out to Dwayne as well. I wanna know how close Dwayne was to this thing. Like, I'm thinking from your plow lights on a snowplow aren't like really long range. They're quite wide, I think, and fairly bright, but I'd like to know how close you were to it, Dwayne. So if you want to email back in and whatever, I'll reach out to you. But if you want to email back in, let me know. I'd like to know how close did you, when the thing was gone, did you go up and look at the prints? I mean, how many stories, I don't call them the stories because, as I said before, I think a story is made up, but how many encounters and experiences do people need to hear to go, all right, yeah, some of them could be fabricated, but there's no way hundreds of thousands of them are. There's no frickin' way. I personally appreciate everyone emailing in. Some people, I've had people email me saying that I've got an encounter to share, I'm just not ready. And that's totally fine. But when people do that, you can tell they're traumatized by it. So, in due time, right? Anyways, guys, I think that's enough for today. My back says that's enough for today. I appreciate everybody's support. You know what? Stay strong as a community, as a group. That's why I get rid of the assholes. I get rid of the dipshits off of outlaw country, because we have no time for them here. Okay? I only want good, honest people here. And if you're not a good, honest, supportive person, bugger off. Beat it. Got no time for you. And got a lot of plans coming up. I got so many things that I want to get done. I want to do a live with all of you on YouTube. I want to do a live with all of you. I've got half a dozen people that I need to do video conversations with, and I'm trying to find the time, guys. It's so hard. I still got to take it pretty easy with my back. Like, I can only go 5K, 8K maybe, and then I got to go. So I got to go home and rest. So, you know, I know now is a good time because I have a little bit more downtime, but I got a lot of stuff on the go as well. So I got a lot I want to do, a lot of people I got to reach out to, and I will get it done. So anyways, that's all for now. Again, appreciate your support. Be safe. I hope there's nothing watching us behind me. Whatever. It doesn't even faze me. I just know they could be anywhere here, so it is what it is, right? Anyways, I'm going to carry on. I'm going to go over to the creek, follow my way down the creek to the river, and get back to my truck. Okay, you guys have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. I thought I'd get a little video for those of you that just love going on hikes, love seeing the scenery, because I get a lot of comments from people saying, oh, it's a beautiful area, what a beautiful spot. And they love the scenery and whatnot, and then you get the odd person that just goes, get to the email. Enough talking, just get to the email. Those are the people that I generally have a comment back for them. Generally, it's not a pleasant comment either. I'm trying to make my way to the creek here. Anyhow, I have, I got a lot of plans coming up. I'm trying to set some dates for some video calls with some people and have some discussions. On this Bigfoot topic. It's nice to hear more and more people saying, you know what, I'm not totally sold, but I'm kind of open to the possibility. It's nice hearing that, because that's just having an open mind, right? Yeah, look at it. It's getting windy again here now. Anyhow, my back is getting a little better. It feels a little better. Today's probably the best it's felt in 2 weeks now. So I'm pretty happy about that. All right, guys, well, there's the creek down there. It's probably ripping right now. I basically just walked the creek down to the river, up the bank, and I'm back to my truck. Okay. You guys have a great day. Let me get up here and show you the creek. Normally, this creek's normally running like maybe, I don't know, it's usually like a couple feet wide. I bet you it's a lot more than that right now. Oh yeah, it's ripping. It's ripping. Look at that. It's like 5, 6 feet, 7 feet, 10 feet wide in some places. Normally it's only just a trickle through here, but we've had a lot of rain. All right, guys. Catch you later. Be safe. I'm out.